Now, let's take a look at our third question, which is, how can I better manage my emails? Well, first thing you can possibly do is stop handing out your email address. In the early days when we first started to utilize email, one of the things that happened was anytime we got a form to fill out, so you're checking into a hotel, remember those days, or you're filling out some sort of form, people ask for your email address. And often right down the bottom of that form in very fine print, you're actually opting in to receive advertising information from them, etc. Now, there's some organisations where you can't help but give them your email address and you're sort of forced into stuff. You need to actively go in and switch things off. So banks are a classic example. You have to provide your email, but if you have one, but you can go in and you can opt out of any third-party marketing. They do that because they say that, they want to help you, but realistically what it does is helps them and creates more work for you. So get into the habit of not automatically handing out your email address to people. And then that way you can't be added to lists, etc. Be warned if you're going to an event, etc., and you do a prize draw, often that unconsciously, automatically, people will put you on a mailing list. So certainly don't hand out your email and be a bit more mindful. I'd also suggest that you consider unsubscribing to items or newsletters or anything you receive where they don't add value and in fact all they do is create more stuff. So this is a bit like the electronic equivalent of putting a notice on your mailbox that says no junk mail. Not suggesting that some of those newsletters, particularly my productivity pointers, are not good information, but sometimes after a while they're no longer adding value for you, and in fact all they're doing is stressing you out because you've got more information and materials that you need to go through. So it's a good idea every now and then to unsubscribe from any emails. Newsletters that you're on. And of course, by law in pretty much every country around the world, down the bottom of any of those newsletter type emails, they must put an option to unsubscribe. Of course, spam doesn't apply to that, and I wish I could do something that would stop all the social media marketing or the medical pharmaceutical products that keep coming into your inbox, etc. But all I can suggest is making sure your organisation has good virus checking software that enables you to do that. The other thing that you can do that can be really useful to better manage your emails is consider the outcomes that you want. So I mentioned earlier on that by sending an email is easy. It's so easy. We have a thought, we think a thought, we address an email, we send it off to somebody and off it goes. But the challenge is sometimes what happens is we end up in an email chain. Now, there's a couple of disadvantages of an email chain. For example, when you might have a meeting and you might interact directly with someone, you ask a question, you get an answer. You can have a dialogue and you can get multiple questions answered. If you're trying to do that via email, you're going to find that your conversation via email is sort of stop-started, and that you may find that when the email comes back in with the answer, you've got to think about, well, was there another question you needed to ask? So sometimes actually thinking about the email and asking if it's the best way to respond. I was once asked on a national breakfast show, like a morning breakfast television show. I came on to talk about managing your email. And one of the hosts asked me, how do you know if the tone of the email is right, that the person at the other end won't misinterpret it? My response was, well, if you need to ask yourself that question, that's probably a good sign that you need to pick up the phone rather than email. Nothing replaces a live conversation, whether it be a video call through Zoom or Skype or via Teams, a telephone call where you can just get the idea of what someone's thinking or feeling through the sound of their voice. Not only does it speed up communications, but it keeps you in that mindset. So as you're hearing what someone else is saying, you can respond accordingly. So consider the outcomes you want. Are you just updating someone? In which case, an email might be the most appropriate way to do it. Maybe it's sending an email to a client just saying in the subject line, order update, and just letting them know that there's been a delay. Or order update, I'll give you a call later today to let you know when you can expect your delivery. Don't use email as a mechanism to communicate everything. There are some times where you need the personal touch, where you need to pick up the phone and you need to talk to somebody, whether it's solving a problem, answering a question that perhaps is too long-winded to be answered in an email. And then what you can do instead is, after you've had that conversation, is you can come back and you can use email as the confirmation tool rather than the communication tool. It enables you to summarize and say, hey, look, this is my understanding of our conversation. Can you let me know if I've missed something? So far we've looked at how you reduce the time you spend on emails, how do you get people to respond to emails, and how do you better manage emails. Again, because we've got this video, feel free to go back at any time and have a look. So better manage your email by being a bit more thoughtful in where and when you hand out your email addresses. Think about the outcomes you want. Is this a question and answer scenario where it's going to be like a table tennis ball or a tennis ball? You hit an email over to somebody and they hit an answer back to you and you're backwards and forwardsing. Not only are you slowing down your own personal productivity, but you're slowing down someone else's as well. And just because email's easy to do doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Sometimes, picking up the phone or doing a video call is just what you need to get the message across and to get some clarity and to provide an opportunity for people to ask questions in the moment, which you can't do in email.